This is Module 16, the concept of perfusion, assessing heart sounds and peripheral pulses. These are your concept learning outcomes. I know your book has a lot of information about the heart and a lot more information than what you need for this course. We're going to focus on assessing the heart sounds and the peripheral pulses. So a lot of that terminology you will remember from A&P. You will be getting into much more detail about cardiac problems and different complications with different structures when you get into other courses. But right now we're just focusing on doing the assessment of heart sounds. So normal heart sounds is going to be one heartbeat, a contraction and a relaxation. You're going to hear the valves closing. Your AV valve is going to be your S1. Your semilunar valve is going to be your S2. These are the contraction and relaxation of the heart. Characteristics of the heart sound are going to be your lub-dub, lub-dub. Your lub is going to be your S1. Dub is going to be your S2. That's what you're listening for in this course. Your book goes into a lot of other sounds that you may hear, but again, we're not going to get into that now. Apical and peripheral pulses. A pulse is a wave of blood created by the left ventricular contraction. Represents stroke volume. Again, you'll get much more detailed with that in later courses. Compliance is the ability of the arteries to contract and expand. Peripheral pulses are those located away from the heart, such as your radial pulse, your pedal pulse. The apical pulse is a central pulse, point of maximum impulse of the heart. So we are going to be taking an apical pulse in this class. Genetic consideration and risk factors, family history of high cholesterol, early onset coronary artery disease, and there are a lot of modifiable risk factors: smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, physical activity, diabetes. All of these things can be modified to reduce the incidence of coronary artery disease. So your assessment. You want to be sure that you are asking about any pain. Do they have any chronic fatigue? Any shortness of breath, especially with activity? Or do they have shortness of breath at rest? So you're going to be doing a very thorough pain assessment. Where's the location, the character, the timing, setting, precipitating factors, intensity, aggravating and relieving or aggravating or alleviating factors. Associated symptoms such as, do they have nausea? Do they have numbness, tingling when they have this pain? So we need to look at anatomical landmarks. We're going to be focusing on the sternum, the clavicles, and the ribs. We need to correlate these findings so that we know where we're going to be assessing. So first thing we're going to do is look at the uniform skin color, make sure that there are no abnormalities in the skin color. The chest should be symmetric. Jugular veins should not be visible. So these are the landmarks that you need to be familiar with. You have the first one is the right sternal border at the second intercostal space. That's between the ribs, so it's like right along the sternum, second intercostal space. The next one is the left sternal border, second intercostal space. Number 3 is left sternal border, third intercostal space. Left intercostal space, fourth intercostal space. Left sternal border, fourth intercostal space is number 4. And the 5th one is midclavicular line, so you're a little bit farther out than your sternal border, and you're in your 5th intercostal space. So these are very important landmarks to know. Your jugular vein. Your jugular vein should not be visible. This diagram on the left shows you where the structures are, and on the right we can see that we do have a visible jugular vein. This person's lying down, and that is an indication of a problem. So all you're going to be doing when you do your assessment is looking at the neck for any jugular vein distension. Okay, so your assessment. Bring your practice rubrics for the heart and peripheral vascular assessment. We're going to be looking for the apical impulse. You're going to be getting an apical heart rate. We're going to assess the cardiac rate and rhythm. Normal rate is between 60 and 100 for a normal healthy person. That's 60 to 100 beats per minute. Rhythm should be regular. So like any of your favorite songs, you should be able to tap your foot to it. It should be very regular. So that is what a normal heart sound is going to be. You may hear murmurs, you may hear some abnormal heart sounds. So let's just listen to, well, wait a minute. Before we do that, how are you going to assess it? All right, remember all of those landmarks that I just told you about? Well, one of the mnemonics that you can use to remember where you're going to hear the best lung or heart sounds is ape to man, or all pigs eat too much. So when you're listening to the right second intercostal space, that's the aortic area. The sound of the aorta is the strongest at that point. The left second intercostal space is the pulmonic area. Third intercostal space is Erb's point. Fourth intercostal space on the left, or the fifth. Typically it is about the fifth, is where the tricuspid area is. That's where the tricuspid valve, it sounds the loudest. And then the fifth intercostal space is the mitral valve, or the apex. You are going to be getting an apical heart rate at Erb's point, the third intercostal space, because that is where your heart sounds are going to be the strongest. Mitral, or the actual apex of the heart, you may or may not be able to hear because of body tissue and things. But again, you're going to be assessing at Erb's point, so I will demonstrate that in class. So let's just listen to a couple of these. This one is a normal lung sound. Okay, very regular, lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. And now we're going to hear something that is abnormal. Okay, fast, slow, no rhythm. Yeah, can't quite tap your foot to that. And there is one more. This one is abnormal heart sound also. Hopefully you can hear that. Very irregular, very fast. Okay, those are all hyperlinked, so you can go on and listen to those. So basically what you're looking for is the strength and the rhythm. Is it regular or irregular? And that's all you need to know for 142. You will be getting into some of the other complications in other classes. So next thing we're going to do is assess our peripheral pulses. we want to make sure that you are using your 2 or 3 fingers and that you're pressing on these areas, not too hard, not too deep, and you're going to be comparing sides. So we've done the temporal and we've done the carotid. The apical you're going to be doing with your stethoscope. But then we're going to start with the brachial, radial, femoral. You need to know where the femoral artery is located, although it is very deep and you may not be able to find it on your classmate because they're wearing sweats or jeans. Then we have the popliteal, posterior tibial, and dorsalis pedal pulses. You're going to be comparing sides. So when you check the brachial pulse on the left, you want to check it on the right. Are they equal? Is the rhythm steady? And you're going to be, the difference is going to be the elasticity of the arterial wall. One may be very strong, the other one may be very weak. And pulses are, the rating scale for pulses, again, is +1 to +4. So I will demonstrate these, and these are the pulses that you're going to be responsible for palpating. Documentation, very simple. Take a look at this. Okay, in class, we are going to talk about peripheral neuropathy. When we do our peripheral pulse assessments, we're going to be also assessing for peripheral neuropathy. So there is an exemplar in your book, and it is under comfort, or hold on a second. Peripheral neuropathy is exemplar 18.6 in your textbook, starting on page 1331. And again, I will post the PowerPoint and we will discuss this in class.